Have you ever looked at a stock, seen that simple buy or sell rating, and just thought, how did they actually decide that? Well, today we are pulling back the curtain on the analyst's playbook. We're going to decode those professional reports that drive billions of dollars in investment decisions, and you know what? It all starts with one big question.
Right here. This is it. The whole game boils down to this single, high-stakes question. But this isn't a gut feeling, and it's not a lucky guess. It's the final result of a really detailed and rigorous process. So how do they get there?
The answer is right here, inside the company research report. You can think of this document as the complete, evidence-based argument for why a stock is a buy, a hold, or a sell. It is the blueprint that lays out the entire case.
So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll decode the basic framework of these reports. Then, we'll dive into the two main types you'll come across, the big, comprehensive initiation and the quick, focused update. After that, we'll put them head-to-head to see how they stack up. And finally, we'll talk about what it all means when you're reading between the lines.
All right, let's jump right in with Section 1, Decoding Investment Reports. See, before an analyst can even think about a recommendation, they have to follow a very specific, logical process. It's this framework that makes sure their final argument is built on solid ground.
And what's really interesting is just how methodical this whole thing is. Analysts don't just jump to the end. Step 1, they have to deeply understand the company itself, its history, its business, all its financials. Then, for Step 2, they zoom out and look at the entire industry, figuring out where this company fits in. It's only after doing all that work that they can finally move on to Step 3, forecasting the future and actually figuring out what the company is worth. Okay, so all of this incredible work gets presented in two pretty distinct types of reports. Let's start with the most comprehensive one an analyst will ever write on a company. And that's called the initiation report. When an analyst initiates coverage on a stock, they're basically writing the complete biography of that company for investors. This is the foundational document, the one that lays out the entire investment story, right from page 1.
And the most important thing to understand about this biography is who it's for. It's written for people who are totally new to the company. It assumes you're starting from zero and is designed to bring you completely up to speed on everything you need to know.
So, what's inside this biography? Well, it starts with the foundation. You get the final recommendation right up front, buy, hold, or sell, followed by the main reasons why. Then it dives deep into what the company actually does, its business model, its strategy, and exactly how it makes money.
But of course, no company exists in a vacuum, right? So after laying that foundation, the report gives you the context. How big is the industry? Is it growing? Who are the major competitors? And, the really big question, is the company's strategy actually a good fit for this competitive landscape?
Now, to answer those kinds of questions, analysts don't just guess. They use these standardized, pretty powerful frameworks to analyze the entire competitive environment. Let's just quickly look at two of the most common ones you're going to see. First up, you've got the classic Porter's 5 Forces. This tool helps an analyst figure out just how intense the competition is in any given industry. By looking at threats from new players, other products, and the power that suppliers and buyers have, it basically answers one simple question: how tough is it to actually make money here?
The second framework you'll see all the time is a pestle analysis. This is a really clever way to force an analyst to zoom out and look at all those big-picture external factors. I mean, think about it. Political shifts, economic cycles, social trends, all of these can have a massive impact on a company's future. Pestle just makes sure none of them get missed. And finally, the initiation report looks into its crystal ball. This is where you find the really detailed financial models and the valuation that leads to a specific target price. It also covers environmental and social factors, and crucially, it lays out a clear-eyed assessment of the risks, what could go wrong, and just as important, what could go surprisingly right.
Okay, so that was the big biography. But what happens after that? Well, that brings us to our second report type, the update, or what's sometimes called a subsequent report. If the initiation was a biography, think of this as a fast-paced news bulletin.
And this changes everything, because the audience is completely different. This report is not for newcomers. It's for people who've already read the biography and just need to know what's changed since the last time they checked in.
And because the audience already knows all the background, the content can be absolutely laser-focused. It gets straight to the point. Did our recommendation change, and why? It zeroes in on new information, like quarterly earnings, and shows you exactly how that new data changes the financial forecasts, the valuation, and the biggest risks. In short, it is all about what's new.
So there we have it. Two very different reports, but both are aiming for the exact same goal, to give you a clear, evidence-based case for an investment. Let's put them side by side just to make the difference crystal clear.
And this table really lays it out perfectly. Just think of it this way. The initial report, our biography, is for newcomers. Its purpose is to introduce you to the whole story, so the content is exhaustive. The subsequent report, our news bulletin, is for people who are already in the loop. Its whole purpose is to update, so its content is surgically focused only on what has changed.
So after all of that, why does this structure even matter? What's the big takeaway? Well, that brings us to our final section, what it really means to read between the lines. Okay, the most important thing to remember is this. The structure of a research report is not just some random template, it's a story. It's the logical path the analyst walked, starting with the company, moving to the industry, and ending with a forecast. Once you understand this structure, you can follow their exact train of thought and decide for yourself if you actually agree with their conclusion.
So now you have the playbook. You know the difference between the deep dive biography and the quick hit news bulletin. So the next time you pick up one of these reports, you're not just going to see a recommendation, you're going to see a story. The only question left is, what story will it tell you?